Good day, students. Welcome to government class SS1. We ended our discussion last year on legitimacy. I define legitimacy as the acceptance and recognition by the citizens of a country the right of their leaders to rule. This morning, we are moving to another topic called sovereignty. What is sovereignty? Sovereignty can be defined as the supreme power a state has to make and enforce laws over its people within its territory without any form of external control. I take it again. Sovereignty can be defined as the supreme power a state has to make and enforce laws over its own people within its territory without any form of external control. The idea of sovereignty was promulgated by Jean Bodin. Jean Bodin came up with the idea of sovereignty. Characteristics of sovereignty. Characteristics of sovereignty. Number one, indivisibility. That is, sovereignty cannot be divided among the tiers of government. That is, in the case of Nigeria, federal, states, and local government. We can't divide the sovereignty among the tiers of government to the extent that we can say, okay, local government, have your own sovereignty. State government, have your own sovereignty. Federal government, have your own sovereignty. So it is indivisible. And the sovereignty of a state is managed by this federal government. Whatever the federal says is binding on states and local government. It is indivisible. Number two, absoluteness. Absoluteness is another characteristic, and it means that the sovereignty of a state is total. Is total. Because a sovereign state doesn't take order from any country. So it is total, it is absolute. So whatever directive that comes out from the central, it is total. No limitation as far as sovereignty is concerned. Then number three, permanence. Permanence. Sovereignty of a state, Nigeria as an example, is permanent. It is not temporary. It is permanent. It is an attribute of a state that the state enjoys, because any state that attains the level of sovereignty is an independent country, and it is permanent. Then number four, free from external control. Any state that has sovereignty is free from the influence of any country. Whatever rules and regulations that has been pronounced or have been pronounced in a state, no external force can change it. So a country that is independent is free from external influence or control. Then number five, comprehensiveness. Comprehensiveness. That is, the sovereign power of a state that is independent is comprehensive in the sense that it covers the whole country. Any directive, any rule that comes from federal government, as in the case of Nigeria, to the states and local governments, such a rule is binding on the citizens of a country. So it is comprehensive, and no power from external can limit it. Any rule that comes out from the federal level is binding on everyone living in such a country. Types of sovereignty. Types of sovereignty. Types of sovereignty. Number one, legal sovereignty. Legal sovereignty. This is the sovereignty a state has to make and enforce laws. In Britain, as an example, the parliament is regarded as legal sovereign. That is, the parliament in Britain has the power to make law and enforce law. So we call such a body legal sovereign. So parliament in Britain has that power to make law and enforce law. Legal sovereignty. Number two, political or popular sovereignty. This refers to the electorate, the people who are qualified to vote in any election. They have that power, sovereignty, to elect anyone they want as their leader or to elect people into elective posts. Because of the fact that in a democratic state, the will of the people prevails. The will of the people prevails. They have what we call political or popular sovereignty. Any government that wants to enjoy the support of the people must be ready to go by the will of the people. So the people have what we call political or popular sovereignty through the power of election. Number three, de facto sovereignty. De facto sounds like French word. It means the sovereignty a government has through the use of force. The sovereignty a state has through the use of force. We can infer from the activities of the military that anytime military comes to power, many a time, military doesn't respect the constitution. So a sovereignty of such is regarded as de facto because many a time such sovereignty doesn't reckon with the laid down rules and regulations. Four, de jure. De jure sovereignty is a type of sovereignty that respects what the law says. Such a sovereignty respects laid down rules and regulations. And that is why any democratic government is referred to as de jure government that has de jure sovereignty. For example, the government we have in Nigeria today was put in place by Nigerians through elections. So the government of today is a de jure government because it has the support of the people through elections. Any sovereignty that respects what the law says, respect the provisions of the Constitution is a de jure sovereignty. Then number 5, internal. Internal sovereignty. This is the power a state has to make law and enforce law over its own people within its territory. Internal sovereignty. The power a state has to make law and enforce law over its own people within its territory. That is internal sovereignty. Then the last one, external. External sovereignty. This is the power a state has to relate with other countries of the world without any intimidation. Nigeria, as a state, relates with many countries: Britain, France, USA, South Africa, Russia, China, and the rest, without any intimidation. So that is the sovereignty a state has to relate with the rest of the world. To summarize it, I define sovereignty as the power a state has to make and enforce laws over its own people within its territory without any form of external control. Any country that doesn't have sovereignty is not an independent country. Nigeria is an independent country. She has sovereignty. She has the power to make and enforce laws over its own people within its territory without any form of external influence or control. Then from there to characteristics, I explain indivisibility, absoluteness, permanence, free from external control, comprehensiveness. Then to types, legal sovereignty, political or popular sovereignty, de facto sovereignty, de jure, internal, and external. Thank you for listening.